Welcome to Heartbreaker, your love radio. Samantha carries with her a shroud of nostalgia, an almost palpable anguish for the impossibility of reversing the clock of destiny. In her moments of solitude, she ponders the choices made, questioning the endless what-ifs. This sense of regret, mixed with the awareness that perhaps even the best intentions would not have changed the course of her life, weighs on her heart like lead. Having lived each stage of her existence with vigor and passion, Samantha plunged headlong into the opportunities life offered her. During her academic years in business administration, she not only excelled academically but also embraced university life with vibrant enthusiasm, parties, fleeting friendships, passing romances, and travels that painted her world with the colors of adventure and the unknown. When Rafael crossed her path in the twilight of her academic life, Samantha saw in him not only a partner but a reflection of her own emerging maturity. Rafael, with his easy smile and determined gaze, seemed to be the safe harbor she, unknowingly, sought. He too was a senior student, with dreams as lofty as hers and a shared desire to begin building something lasting. Both felt that their once wandering souls were ready to anchor to each other, signaling a new chapter of commitment and stability in their busy lives. Samantha and Rafael's relationship flourished under the warm sun of youthful passion, fueled by whispered promises and joint plans for the future. Although the passion of new love often fades with time, theirs seemed only to strengthen, like wine improving with age. They shared not only love but also early professional success that made them feel invincible. Samantha, soon after graduating, was hired by a renowned corporation, ensuring not only a generous salary but also recognition that many of her peers still coveted. Rafael, in turn, quickly climbed the ranks of his own career, with a skill that seemed to predestine him for success. Together, they built a life that, in everyone's eyes, was the embodiment of success and happiness. However, beneath the layers of this seemingly perfect life lay secrets and unspoken truths that, once revealed, could challenge the solidity of their union. As Samantha reflects on those golden days, she gets lost in a sea of bittersweet memories. It seems to her like another life, a time when youth covered her with its veil of invincibility and endless promises. The freshness of those days, infused with dreams and laughter, brings a longing that tightens her chest with the force of a beloved but irretrievable memory. At that time, life seemed to stretch out before her and Rafael like an infinite carpet of possibilities, all paths leading to bright, flawless futures, a sweet illusion of perfection that time and experience had not yet undone. As the first anniversary of their relationship approached, Rafael devised a plan to celebrate the milestone in a memorable way. He chose a secluded beach, a refuge far from the frenzy of daily life, ideal for celebrating the love that had blossomed so intensely between them. The idea filled Samantha with vibrant excitement, a flame reignited by the prospect of escaping, even briefly, to a world just for the two of them. The past year had been a journey of shared discoveries and happiness that seemed to seal their destinies together, and now they had the chance to further strengthen that bond. The conversation about the trip details unfolded with the typical practicality of two young lovers who understood each other almost without words. Rafael, always the more organized one, had meticulously planned everything to ensure that nothing would disturb that brief period of celebration. "Everything's set, Samantha. Can you bring your bag to work on Friday, and I'll pick you up there and we'll head straight there. Sound good?" Rafael said, with the tone of someone already anticipating the joy of the moments to come. "Sure. I can leave around 6 in the evening. Is that okay for you?" Samantha replied, adjusting her schedule to align with Rafael's plans. Well, if you could leave a little earlier, it would be better. The trip takes about 4 hours, and I wanted to arrive early so we can enjoy more, but if not, that's okay," Rafael responded, his voice calm but full of anticipation. He wanted to maximize every second of this special retreat, aware that the moments spent on that beach would be precious memories of their relationship. This exchange, though simple, was laden with expectations and dreams, fundamental elements they both wove together, unaware of the challenges the future held. Samantha's excitement was palpable, an electric energy pulsing through her with every tick of the clock. The image of a distant beach, where worries dissipated in the sea breeze, filled her mind, making the day's tasks painfully mundane. Every glance at the clock made her imagine the moment she would leave the office behind, embarking on a romantic getaway with Rafael. Meanwhile, Rafael, who had managed to free himself earlier from his commitments, was ready and waiting for her since 5:30 in the afternoon, sending her messages full of anticipation and countdown. In the stuffy office, the clock already marked the end of the workday, but for Samantha, the hours stretched into a true test of patience. With her phone constantly vibrating on the desk, she cast anxious glances toward the device, each new message from Rafael increasing the urgency of her situation. Initially, the messages carried the excitement of the planned trip, but as time passed, joy gave way to impatience and concern. "I'm in the parking lot, all set here," the first message said. A few hours later, the tone changed. "Everything okay there? We're running late." And finally, a note of clear frustration. "Sam, what's going on? Is everything okay?" Meanwhile, Samantha's boss, completely oblivious to the emotional storm brewing around him, meticulously detailed the latest financial updates of the company. "Look, Samantha, we need to reassess these projections before Monday's presentation. It's crucial that all the data align with the stakeholders' expectations," he said, unfolding charts and tables before her. Samantha attempted to interject, her voice tinged with barely contained urgency. "I understand the importance, really, but I have a very important personal commitment tonight, and I really need." "Oh, but this will only take a few more minutes, Samantha. Your efficiency is one of the reasons why I trust you so much for these last-minute adjustments," the boss interrupted, unaware of his employee's growing desperation. When she finally managed to break free from the meeting, the clock struck 7 in the evening. A cold panic enveloped her as she realized the time lost. How could I not have been assertive enough? She questioned herself internally, hurrying to the parking lot while checking the accumulated messages from Rafael. The 1-hour delay, which initially seemed like a minor bump in the road, now revealed itself as a colossal obstacle, threatening to crumble the delicate structure of their plans for the weekend. She knew she should have been firmer, should have explained the importance of her commitment, but she had underestimated the impact a simple delay could have on the expectation of a perfect moment. Now, as she raced to meet Rafael, Samantha felt the weight of every second lost, every minute turning into an eternity of unforeseen consequences. As she got into the car, the atmosphere of tension was immediately palpable. Rafael, clearly agitated, expressed his frustration about the late departure, worried about the traffic they would face and the time lost. The shift in his usual demeanor, from calm to anxious, left Samantha uncomfortable and somewhat resentful. "If you hadn't taken so long to leave work, I wouldn't need to rush, right?" Rafael's voice was laden with nervousness and reproach. The tension between them grew, thickening the air inside the car as the night fell. The road stretched out before them, no longer an invitation to adventure, but a prelude to a weekend that promised to be anything but tranquil. Samantha felt the pressure of the silence that was forming, a subtle chasm that began to open between them, signaling that this trip could reveal more than just the landscape around them. "Rafael, it's not my fault. My boss needed to sort out some things." "You're overreacting." Samantha struggled to remain calm, her voice trying to be a beacon of tranquility amidst the storm of emotions stirring between them. She could feel the tension like a physical entity, a growing barrier threatening the harmony of the trip they had both longed for. "You just can't understand, can you? You just can't understand. You really don't understand, unbelievable." Rafael exclaimed, his voice rising in volume and frustration. Anguish overflowed from his words, clearly painting the picture of a man tormented by unmet expectations, his patience slipping away like sand between his fingers. "It's you who doesn't understand, you're blowing this all out of proportion. We have a whole weekend to celebrate our anniversary, but geez, you're ruining everything," as Samantha retorted, her voice trembling under the weight of growing distress. Sadness flooded her, born from the realization that the dream of a perfect weekend was fading before it even began. I'm sorry. I just wanted this weekend to be perfect, you know? I just wanted everything to go right, I just wanted to arrive early, that's all," Rafael murmured, the intensity of his voice diminishing as the reality of his words and actions hit him. His apology emerged with sincerity, an attempt to mend the fissures his expectations had created. The atmosphere in the car gradually began to calm, the storm of emotions giving way to a tacit understanding that the misunderstanding should not overshadow the purpose of their journey. Rafael slowed down, took a deep breath, and tried to regain balance, his gaze fixed on the road ahead, reflecting on the consequences of his actions. Beside him, Samantha watched the landscape passing by the window, contemplating how small setbacks can sometimes reveal underlying tensions. However, she also recognized that these moments, though challenging, offered valuable opportunities for understanding and reconciliation. In the silence that settled, a new understanding began to sprout, suggesting that perhaps even unexpected detours could lead to deeper and more meaningful destinations. In that fateful moment, while the previous tension still reverberated in the air, Samantha's eyes met Rafael's. What she saw there was a glimpse of absolute terror, a fear that transcended any disagreement they had had. Rafael, with a pale face and wide eyes, reflected the dread that had suddenly taken hold of him. Then, in the blink of an eye, everything went dark for Samantha. She didn't see the car that, in a reckless maneuver, attempted to overtake a truck on the opposite lane. She didn't witness the devastating impact that followed when that car collided head-on with theirs, as Rafael, perhaps still distracted by the discord, hadn't fully slowed down. Samantha was plunged into an abyss of darkness, losing consciousness before understanding the magnitude of the unfolding catastrophe. As her senses slowly began to restore themselves, she found herself awakening to the sound of her own labored breathing and the sensation of Rafael gently shaking her, trying to bring her back to reality with light taps and urgent words. Confused and disoriented, Samantha blinked several times, trying to process the blurs of her vision into coherent images. Instinctive fear propelled her to check her physical integrity, finding a searing pain pulsating in her leg, now grotesquely trapped in the twisted wreckage of the car. The smell of broken metal and blood mingled in the air, a visceral reminder of the violence of the accident. Looking at Rafael, she realized the gravity of their situation. He was visibly more injured than her, his body was covered in blood, his white shirt now completely red, his face contorted in a mask of pain, yet still, incredibly, he managed to smile at her. It was a smile that carried a painful mix of relief and anguish, a silent acknowledgement of the shared tragedy. Despite the calamitous situation, Rafael still found strength to speak, although his voice was only a raspy whisper, each word stained by the blood trickling from his mouth. He struggled to breathe, each breath a visible effort against the weight of his internal injuries. Samantha. Samantha, are you okay? He asked, concern overflowing in each syllable, his gaze fixed intensely on her, as if trying to reassure himself that, at least she, could be safe in this chaos that had suddenly engulfed their lives. I'm okay, my love. I'm okay. And you? Samantha's words emerged shaky as she struggled to keep her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding her. She tried to project a calm she was far from feeling, her mind spinning in a whirlwind of fear and worry. I don't know. It hurts so much, you know? Rafael's response came laden with painful sincerity, his voice trembling with each syllable as he grappled with the intensity of the pain consuming him. Anguish was evident on his face, every expression reflecting the physical torment he was bravely enduring. Stay calm. Don't exert yourself, okay? Help will arrive soon. Samantha tried to reassure him, her words seeking to offer some comfort, though her own heart was tight with anxiety. The wait for help seemed to stretch infinitely, each second dragging with the torturous slowness of a nightmare from which they couldn't wake. Where's my phone? My God, oh my God, where's my phone? I need to ask you. Rafael's urgency suddenly grew, his voice rising in desperation as he began to frantically search for his phone, his movements clumsy and feverish. The search for something so trivial in normal circumstances now assumed acute importance, reflecting the gravity of his unmet needs. Rafael, don't talk. Don't keep talking. You need to conserve your strength. Samantha insisted, her voice heavy with concern. She knew that every word he uttered demanded an effort that could be exacerbating his injuries, potentially worsening his already precarious state. She wished to protect him, even if it meant imposing silence, in the hope of preserving every ounce of energy he still possessed. In that moment of absolute chaos, with the distant sound of sirens finally emerging on the horizon, Rafael gathered what remained of his strength for a confession that transformed the terror of uncertainty into a bond of eternity. Samantha, will you marry me? The words came out weak, but laden with profound meaning, as if he wanted to anchor their love in something immutable, even in the face of the imminent shadow of death. The proposal, made in the most dramatic and unexpected circumstances, seemed to suspend time around them. Samantha, taken aback by surprise and emotion, could hardly process the reality of that question under the crushing weight of what was happening. Before she could formulate her answer, before she could say yes and seal the commitment they both desired, fate cruelly intervened. Rafael died without hearing her response. He departed without knowing that his proposal would have been met with all the joy and love that Samantha felt for him. This lack of closure, the silence where there should have been a promise of the future, haunts Samantha since that fateful day. She often finds herself lost in thought, desperately wishing she could go back to that moment, not to change the inevitable outcome, but to offer Rafael the comfort of her yes. How she wished she had had the chance to tell him that, yes, all she wanted was to marry him, that he was the love of her life, and that she would accept to be his companion forever. The pain of not sharing these words with Rafael in his final moments consumes her, leaving an emotional scar she carries every day. The memory of that unanswered proposal is a constant reminder of the love they shared and the future that was cruelly taken from them. Samantha lives with a wound that does not heal, a profound pain that now seems to define the contours of her existence. After the loss of Rafael, her boyfriend, her fiancé, the person she planned to build a future with, life seemed to lose a part of its meaning. And honestly, she doesn't know if she will ever completely overcome this absence. The words of encouragement and attempts at consolation from friends and family often sound hollow to her ears. It's always possible to start over, move on, they say, but to Samantha, these phrases seem like repeated formulas that fail to reach the depth of her pain. This loss has left a void, as if an essential part of herself had been brutally torn away, leaving a scar that cannot be seen but is felt every moment of every day. The idea of finding happiness again seems distant to her, almost a betrayal of the memory of the love she shared with Rafael. Sadness has become a constant companion, a shadow that follows her footsteps, reminding her of what was lost. Each day without Rafael is not just another day of survival, but one less day lived fully. Life, once colored by laughter and shared plans, now unfolds in shades of gray. While the external world encourages her to move forward, for Samantha, time has irrevocably stopped on that dark road, frozen at the moment when Rafael's words turned into an eternal silence. Time may continue its course for everyone around her, but for her, it spins in an infinite loop of memories and what-ifs. The road to recovery seems uncertain and frighteningly long, marked by the resilience of a heart that, despite being broken, still beats for a love that refuses to be forgotten.